Hey folks, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another one of our weekly My Hero Academia discussion videos. And today we're here to talk all about episode 20, Golden Tips Imperial. But before we get into the video proper, I do, as always, want to give a big thank you to those of you who shared last week's video over on Twitter. At Janeme, at Kumo Richards, at Bubba Lubber, at Matt87Eagle, at Harrison K VGC, at Sirius9752, at Actius Neo, at Clear Chicken, and at AnimeFan3535. Thanks so much for sharing last week's video over on Twitter, everybody, and if you too would like to have your name shouted out in next week's My Hero Academia video, then be sure to share this video around on the internet, and then tag me at JoJo Talks Too Much over on Twitter, and I will be sure to shout your name out in next week's video. Okay, so I don't know what I have titled this video, but I do know that on the inside, the common phrase that kept popping into my head this week was second verse same as the first, because that is very true. If you enjoyed last week's episode, you're going to enjoy this week's episode. However, the same can be said the opposite way. If you found last week's episode to be boring, you might find this week's episode to be boring. Luckily, I found last week's episode to be pretty fun. I had a good time with last week's episode, and I had a good time with this one as well. I will say, though, that seeing, basically the same thing repeated, it's a little bit of, it's a catch-22, because you like it, right? Because, I did. I enjoyed it. We get more festival prep, we get more of Gentle and the Brava, but it doesn't really feel like the plot went anywhere. The only thing that is different here is the fact that Aerie's here now, which is, of course, a big bonus. Aerie is a character that I want nothing but good things for from here on out. I just want Aerie to have good times. Everybody just send Aerie good vibes. She deserves it. She's a good kid. So it was nice to see Mirio and Deku sort of take her around UA and be like, hey, this is where we are learning to be heroes. This is the place that taught us everything that we needed to save you. There's something charming about that, just seeing them wander through UA, take Aerie along and see the sights. And yeah, like I said, it's just nice to see Aerie sort of interacting more with people, starting to kind of get a sense of social cues, how the world works, and allowing her to not be overwhelmed by the time they actually do the school festival, as Principal Nezu points out. And I'm going to save Principal Nezu for a couple minutes just while I talk about some of the stuff we see in this episode, because Principal Nezu is probably my biggest takeaway, which might seem weird, but I'll address that in a sec. Because I want to talk a little bit about the sights that they see while touring Aerie around UA. And we do notice that UA is going plus ultra, because of course they are, to really get this festival going up and off the ground, and there you see the amount of effort going on here. This feels less like a school festival and more like a city-wide festival. And given the scope of UA and what it stands for in the world of My Hero Academia, this doesn't surprise me. The fact that you have a world full of superpowers means that you could probably build more cooler stuff, especially a cooler festival, but at the same time, this festival for this specific school would be huge, given that UA is the symbol of hope, essentially. Well, All Might's a symbol of hope, but you know what I mean? UA is viewed as, this is where our next generation of heroes comes from. That's the gravitas that UA holds. So it doesn't surprise me that the festival is looking insane. And of some of the stuff we see Class 1B, and they're actually doing a stage play, and some people might disagree with me on this, and I totally respect that opinion. I was, when they pitched what they were working on, I was 10 billion times more interested in Class 1B's stage play than I was with the rock concert. I think that's because I'm a theater kid, right? I grew up honestly being on stage, so I was just yes! I was all about that sounds awesome. And it's this what are they it's just this crazy castle, spooky looking castle, and it something Prisoner of Azkaban, I think was something they said, which I was are they legally allowed to say that? But whatever, it was cool. I liked it. It was fun. I liked Class 1. Class 1B has some characters that I know people don't like, but I like most of Class 1B. I think they're really fun, so it was nice that they get a little bit of a moment. I don't want to call it shine, but they get a moment. It's there. It was fun to see them. But speaking of fun to see, we also get to bump into May again, May. And May is best girl. Like, she just is. It's fun to see her interact with Deku. Like, she's constantly like, Deku, check out this new thing I made. Oh, it's so cool. Mei is, I think, in a lot of people's top 5 best girls of My Hero. Mei should be in there. Like, her quirk isn't that great, but that's not why you like Mei. You like Mei because she's like the tinkerer, you know, like she's the one who's gonna make the cool ass items that Class 1A will be using when they become heroes. Something tells me Mei is gonna be like the hero, like the item maker. Like, she's gonna be the one in the future, like once they're all older and they're the new pro heroes. Like, something tells me Mei will be like the head honcho of like, I made this cool shit, and if you want it, you're gonna have to pay out the nose for it, but I will give this to you. I feel like she's gonna be like helping specifically like Deku and Bakugo and all them, like with their equipment. Like, that's just kind of how I view Mei. So it was nice to see her. It was especially nice to see her interact with All Might and Deku, which I thought was interesting. Like, the fact that she kind of bumps into them and has like she doesn't put the pieces together because she's too focused on her own stuff. I thought that was interesting. And also, maybe Mei's the spy. Oh man, no, she's not. There's still rumors of like, who's the mole inside UA. I almost wonder if Horikoshi has just totally dropped that concept, but I don't know. I don't think it's Mei. I just thought it was worth pointing out. It's like, there's a robot with a camera hiding out in the forest. That's interesting. It's definitely not, but food for thought. We, of course, also get some stuff with Gentle and Labrava. We get the fact that Gentle purposely makes time for a 90-minute tea time before they infiltrate UA, and ladies and gentlemen, this is why Gentle and his gentle video is just the best. This man is the best. I love him so much. He's oh my god. I would team up with Gentle 100%. Even if just for a little bit. I know last week I said like I would probably be Gentle, but the more I think about it, I think I would be a hero. I don't know. I think being like, maybe I'd walk the line a little bit, you know, where it's like I'm a hero, but sometimes I agree with what Gentle's doing, so I'm occasionally gonna help Gentle out, like on the sly, but I would be a hero. So I can't be Gentle, sadly. But, you know, Gentle's dope. You guys know I love him. I like that there's a genuine care between him and Labrava. I think Labrava definitely has, like, a little bit more than just, like, we're partners. Like, Labrava's clearly, like, into Gentle, but I think Gentle's like, we are partners. We are friends. Like, I think that's where his head's at. Their dynamic's really fun, and it seems like they do bump into Deku next week, which does have me very curious to see how that goes, which I think is a good thing. I think the show stating, like, Deku and Gentle are gonna bump into each other. It looks like there's gonna be some kind of throwdown, which is interesting. It's about time, too. Like, we basically have 5 episodes after this left in the season, so I feel like getting the ball rolling on the remainder of the arc is a good idea. However, as I alluded to earlier, I do want to address Principal Nezu, who I was not expecting in this episode. I think he's the wild card that changes things from just sort of being like the second verse, same as the first from last week. We actually get to see what Nezu's up to, and it's Principal Nezu's idea to say like, hey, yeah, Eri can come to the festival, that's totally fine. I think you should definitely allow her to tour UA first, since it seems as though she's not really been used to kind people in her life. So introducing her to a lot of people really quickly is probably a bad idea. So let her tour the UA grounds first, and then once the festival happens, she's a little bit less, overwhelmed. Nezu does seem like he genuinely has the school's best interests at heart, and I really appreciate that. I really dig Nezu. I feel like we don't get enough of him, which is kind of surprising, given that he's basically like this story's Dumbledore, like he's the one in charge of the school. You'd think that he'd have more of a hand in things. You'd think that we'd see him more, at least. And we don't really get to see Nezu too much, but every time we do, I really just kind of soak in the atmosphere that is Principal Nezu. He might be like my favorite of the underrated characters, the characters who we don't see that often. And I really love the fact that when the police show up at UA, he even says like, well, look at this. I have like the chief of police in my office. What a pleasant surprise. But you can tell Nezu's like, get out of my office. What do you want? And the fact that he goes out of his way to say, no, I'm not going to do that to the cops is interesting. The fact that the cops are like, don't do this festival. You are painting a target on your back. That's a terrible idea. But Nezu stands firm and he says, no, not only do these kids need this festival, those people out there that we are protecting need this festival, need to know that we're not cowering, that we're not like covering our heads and just waiting for the next villain attack. We are here, we are heroes, and we're here to make people smile. We're not just here to save people from burning buildings. We make people feel safe. We put smiles on people's faces. That's what heroes do. And the fact that Nezu like stands up and says, no, this is what we're doing, you know that that's what's in his heart. That he's like, no, heroes don't just cower, heroes don't like prep themselves and like do nothing for the community. Heroes are part of the community. This event is part of the community. So because of that, Nezu says, no, I'm gonna put this festival on. And Midnight even says like that, like your principal did more for this festival and you kids than you realize. And I just wish that we saw more of Nezu. I really, really like Nezu. So I don't know, hopefully in future arcs, we get to see more of him. And I swear to God, if somebody says, well, actually, don't tell me, for God's sake. When I say hopefully or I wonder if, that doesn't mean I'm expecting manga fans to tell me. For the love of God, don't tell me what happens to Nezu. Don't even allude to shit. Don't even laughs in manga. I don't want to know. Just keep that shit to yourself. With that said, everybody, I'm going to wrap up today's video here. I would say that this week's episode is like your second cup of tea for the day. It's just as good as the first, but you know, it doesn't have that same solid impact. You know what I'm saying? And with that said, that is a wrap on today's video, so I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, then go ahead and hit that like button, maybe even consider sharing the video around on the internet, and go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you want to stick around and see more content from me. And if you do, be sure to click on that bell icon so that you'll know immediately when a new video of mine comes out, and if you want to go above and beyond, then consider checking out our Teespring store and grabbing yourself a mug, or checking out our Patreon page, which really helps support the channel. And speaking of our Patreon page, I want to give a big thank you to those of you who support the channel over on Patreon. Andrew W., Calvin A., Crowbar of Irony, Daniel G., Digger the Fox, Emily, Ionos, Urza, Ginkotaku, Godzilla Fan, No For Nothing, Maria Teresa, Marshall B., Mirth Mouser, Cell, Shadow Creative, Stephen G., Sakochi, Tristan G., and Veridin. A huge thank you to all of you who support this channel over on Patreon, and if you too would like to join the T Squadron, then be sure to check out the link in the description to check out our Patreon page and get access to our Patreon exclusive Discord for as little as $1 a month. And with all that said, I want to once again thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have an awesome day, and if you are feeling stressed out today, then you go have yourself a warm cup of tea, and I will talk to you all again real soon.